Picture this: you've paid almost £500 for a velvet box seat, lights dim, orchestra tuning. But instead of Eva Perón's anthem soaring from the stage, the voice bursts in from a stone balcony above the street, free for anyone with a smartphone to stream. That one unexpected move turned a routine preview of Evita into the most talked-about night on the West End since a certain superhero musical tried to fly and face-planted. Was it fearless innovation, or the spark that lit a cultural bonfire? Long before the first ticket went on sale, director Jamie Lloyd sketched a single sentence across his rehearsal notebook: "Eva belongs to the crowds." His idea sounded simple, too simple, some warned. Restage the famed palace balcony moment by sending the actor playing Eva outside, above the pavement, letting London itself become her Plaza de Mayo. No spotlights, no smoke machines, just raw night air and 600 strangers craning their necks. Rachel Zegler, fresh from a bruising big screen stumble, seized on the concept like a life raft. Insiders say she called it a love letter to the people who can't afford theater, and pushed for nightly balcony encores even after producers flinched at the safety bill. In private, one investor grumbled that the move looked less like inclusivity and more like a TikTok trap, viral or bust. Opening week proved them half right. Crowds swarmed the pavement, cheering, recording, melting in the heat. Meanwhile, inside the gilded auditorium, paying patrons stared up at a jumbo screen broadcasting the same song they could have watched from the curb. When the final note rang out, the sidewalk roared, the stalls fumed, and behind closed doors, a question echoed through the creative team. Had they just reinvented immersive theater or detonated their own box office? But the sidewalk celebration was only the fuse. What exploded next would shake the show from London to Buenos Aires. They started lining up at noon, teenagers with ring lights, office clerks clutching iced lattes, because word had spread that Eva would sing to the street again. By curtain time, nearly 600 people jammed the pavement, sweat pooling in sweltering 90-degree heat. Two fans collapsed and were whisked away by medics before the first chord even floated out from Rachel Zegler's throat. Inside, tempers flared in the 250-pound stalls. Patrons in press dinner jackets realized they'd paid premium prices to watch the same balcony scene on a laggy jumbo screen. The real magic was happening for free 10 meters away. A chorus of groans morphed into a boo loud enough to rattle the lighting grid. "This isn't immersive, it's extortion," one furious tweet read, racking up thousands of reposts within minutes. Critics split down the middle. The Guardian praised the stunt as a political masterstroke, arguing that Evita addressing the masses, while the moneyed elite stare at a monitor, perfectly inverted theatrical hierarchy. Others, like Vulture, branded it street theater cosplay that disrespected paying audiences. Yet outrage only amplified the clip's reach. TikTok compilations of Zegler leaning over the Palladium balustrade shot passed the million-view mark overnight. One Broadway World reel alone cleared 2 million impressions before dawn. Balcony believers called it art for everyone. Box seat cynics called it a scam. The clash set social media ablaze, but the real ignition point was waiting in the wings, wearing Eva's iconic white gown and betting her comeback on one high-risk idea. But who was really gambling? The director, the crowd outside, or the actress whose career just swerved onto this very ledge? Just 12 weeks earlier, Rachel Zegler was nursing bruises from Disney's live-action Snow White, a $250 million epic that limped through its opening with headlines screaming, "Worst box office for a Disney remake in a decade." Agents whispered that one more misfire could freeze her star before 25. When Jamie Lloyd called, she didn't just accept, she pounced, telling friends this was the role that rewrites everything. Behind closed doors, the pitch sounded revolutionary. Sing to the street, look the crowd in the eye, become Eva for the people. A leaked group chat later showed a team member gushing. "Evita is the rebrand she needs, instant virality." The message went viral itself after a TikTok theater commentator flashed the screenshots during a late-night live stream, fanning speculation that controversy was the strategy, not the accident. Rehearsals, however, hinted at storm clouds. Sound engineers fought feedback loops caused by open-air mics. Zegler allegedly clashed with techs over balcony safety rails, snapping, "If I fall, at least the live stream numbers will soar." One eyewitness claims she broke down during a cue-to-cue run, shouting, "Why is no one stopping the circus?" A moment now memed in countless duet videos. Then there's the contract clause. Industry blogs report her deal bars any understudy from taking over without her sign-off, effectively locking producers into the gamble even if backlash worsens. Smart protection or ironclad ego? Pondered one Broadway podcast, splitting listeners in half. Rachel's wager was clear. If the balcony trick triumphed, she'd look fearless. If it tanked, she'd look trapped. And as the sidewalk chants grew louder, whispers inside the Palladium hinted that the next cue on the schedule wasn't a song, it was a confrontation. Because when tech rehearsal glitches turn into opening night fury, the spotlight stops illuminating and starts interrogating. The first cracks didn't appear on X or TikTok, they echoed through the Palladium's concrete corridors. From day one, sound engineers complained that Jamie Lloyd's wall of speakers design drowned out lyrics. The same criticism dogged his Sunset Boulevard revival, and it resurfaced here when even front-row critics struggled to catch consonants. By the second tech, Zegler's headset mic fed back so viciously that she ripped it off mid-note and yelled, "Why is no one stopping this circus?" According to a leaked rehearsal clip, now living on YouTube reaction channels, tempers only rose. Crew members whispered that the star's contract contained an ironclad no replacement clause. No understudy could go on without her written consent. When a stage manager floated the idea of running Act II with the standby during a blistering 11 p.m. cue to cue, Zegler allegedly fired back. "Over my dead body, people bought my face on the poster." The claim surfaced in a commentator's breakdown of leaked production notes, racking up 35K views in a day. By final dress, the atmosphere was less Broadway dream, more siege. One tech joked that they should hand out flak jackets with the call sheets. Another turned down a headset volume so low you could hear the fear. But the real explosion wouldn't happen under the stage lights. It would detonate online the moment the house doors opened. Because when backstage friction meets 1,000 camera phones, the fire doesn't stay in the wings. The morning after Preview 3, Balcony Gate leapt from 200 to 20 mentions in 6 hours. TikTok duet chains spliced Zegler's balcony belt with booing inside the auditorium. Ex-users argued whether the stunt was people's theater or posh robbery. The Guardian called the device a 7-minute stunt worth waiting for unless you paid for a ticket. Minutes later, Forbes counterpunched, praising the move as fitting for material about a populist icon. Mainstream outlets joined the dogpile. AP photographs of fans wedged shoulder to shoulder on Argyle Street ran above headlines about street eruptions and Eva for the masses, while the New York Post blasted the livestream as a 500 pounds glitch. Sentiment trackers showed a near-perfect split. Half the chatter hailed the balcony as genius guerrilla staging. The other half swore they'd never buy a Lloyd ticket again. And the memes kept coming. One viral edit pasted the text, "Not MYEVA," across Zegler's freeze-frame mid-glory note, while a duetted clip of passersby chanting, "Sing it for free," clocked 1 million loops overnight. The louder the internet argued, the faster balcony-side crowds swelled, until paramedics were summoned for heat-fainted fans, feeding yet another cycle of outrage. The online wildfire didn't just scorch reputations, it lit a path straight to boardrooms and sponsor invoices, the next flashpoint that would decide whether the curtain could stay up at all. By Preview 5, the numbers looked worse than the headlines. On Tuesday morning, the Palladium's ticketing portal flashed, 600 refund requests processed, triple the usual rate for a limited run, according to a leaked sales ops email quoted by The Guardian. A new X tag, Refund Evita, shot into London's trending list before lunch. Screenshots of £245 transactions reversed to zero filled Theatre Talk feeds, each stamped with a snarky caption. "If Eva sings outside, so will my money." And the box seats? Row A still looked glamorous on paper, but ushers started calling it gold-plated graveyard. VIPs who had prepaid for whole season packages simply never showed. Staff draped jackets over the empties so the camera feed wouldn't catch the gaps. Behind the red curtain, spreadsheets spilled like blood. Producers huddled in a midnight Zoom with investors, one insider telling Vulture the mood felt like the day after a bank run. At issue, do they halt for a pause and pivot, scrap the balcony, slash prices, rebuild press night, or double down and pray the buzz converts to butts and seats? Several argued it was already too late. The show's gross-to-nut ratio had slipped below 60%, a figure West End bean counters label code orange. Meanwhile, a fan-made Change.org petition titled "Recast Eva, Respect Evita" rocketed past 110K signatures overnight. TikTok creators stitched the live counter beside a rapidly draining seat map, dubbing it the first musical canceled by its own Excel sheet. But financial hemorrhage was only half the story. 3,200 miles away, a different kind of fury was about to ignite, and this one spoke fluent Spanish. Argentine breakfast shows caught the balcony clip on a Thursday, and by Friday their anchors were fuming. La Nación bannered the headline "La polémica que sacude Evita en Londres." The balcony stunt, they wrote, reduces a national icon to a street gimmick. Infobi called it "unreality show con vestidos de gala." Even Yahoo Noticias Latino stamped a blunt verdict. Erasure, no homepage. #Evita no ease unmeme erupted across Spanish-language X, peaking at 68K mentions in 12 hours, while TikTok creators layered Zegler's balcony high note over archival footage of Eva Perón rallying descomisados, captioned, "Esto no es lo mismo." Culture ministers chimed in. A Buenos Aires city councillor tweeted, "If London wants to play dress up with our history, at least charge the street, not us." A jab that local papers splashed in Monday's print editions. Protest graphics followed, Eva's silhouette stamped with the phrase, "No soy UN selfie." Merch shops in San Telmo printed it on tote bags before the weekend ended. Argentine theater veterans weighed in, too. Maria Belén Ruda, who played Eva in the 2017 national tour, told Radio Miter that balcony karaoke can fund Pasión con Publicidad, a quote that ricocheted through WhatsApp chains faster than the producers could refresh Google alerts. One UK critic tried to calm waters, arguing the stunt honored Eva's populism. Los Andes retaliated with a stinging op-ed. Populism is not popularity metrics. The backlash wasn't just rhetorical. Fans in Cordoba announced a symbolic boycott of official cast albums. A Rosario Arts collective projected DVULVAN a EVA across the side of Teatro Colón and tagged the Palladium on Instagram. London's protests had been noisy, but this was louder. A continental roar reminding the West End that Eva Perón's story doesn't belong to ticket algorithms or live stream gimmicks. And as that roar crossed the Atlantic, the pressure inside the Palladium hit a new decibel, one that even a 500-pound soundboard couldn't mute. By the time the balcony had gone viral on both hemispheres, the production office looked more like a war room than a West End nerve center. Whiteboards sagged under arrows and flowcharts. Option A, scrap balcony. Option B, half-price tickets. Option C, temporary shutdown. Every path bled red ink. One producer argued for a one-week creative reset, strip the scene, pull Rachel inside, relaunch with a charity gala to reframe the narrative. Another hissed that a blackout would only confirm failure. The real snag? Zegler's contract. That ironclad no replacement clause meant understudy Alba Ramos, standing by in full wig and white satin, couldn't take over without her blessing. Lawyers warned that voiding the clause would trigger a mid-six-figure penalty on top of daily losses. Investors balked, some quietly prepared writs to claw back marketing guarantees. Meanwhile, the avalanche kept thundering. A luxury fashion house formally withdrew its bespoke gown collaboration, calling the climate incompatible with brand values. Ticket brokers reported resale prices tumbling from £400 to £40 in 48 hours. Front-of-house staff began finding balcony scene leaflets stuffed into programs, scrawled with the slogan, "Stand up, walk out." Saturday night sealed the crisis. Only 2/3 of the house turned up, and those who did sat in brittle silence, no buzz, no selfie sticks held high. When the balcony moment arrived, a strange hush spread outside too. Street spectators raised phones, but their cheers sounded tentative, almost embarrassed, as though the spectacle had lost its magic the instant it became mandatory. Backstage, Zegler held a final card. Minutes after curtain call, she posted an Instagram story, black screen, single line, "Let them scream, I won't break." No apology, no nuance, just defiance. Screenshots sprinted across X at midnight and detonated anew at dawn. Even sympathetic commentators called it career kamikaze. Theaters prefer controlled drama. This was open-air combustion. By dawn on Monday, the decision was made, but no one could agree on the wording. One version of the press release spoke of creative hiatus. Another hinted at reimagining with new cast alignment. The final draft landed at noon. In light of recent events, performances of Evita are suspended effective immediately. Ticket holders will be contacted. It offered no timeline, no promise, just a white flag sentence waving in the digital wind. And so the biggest gamble on the West End in a decade ended not with fireworks or fury, but with the dull click of a canceled checkout page. Proof that a single balcony can become both a stage and a scaffold, elevating an artist one night and hanging a production the next. What began as a daring nod to Eva Perón's populist balcony turned into a cautionary epic about ego, economics, and cultural ownership. Jamie Lloyd's experiment asked, who really owns a legacy? The paying elite behind velvet ropes or the crowd yelling below? The answer proved jagged. When art courts virality, every choice carries compound interest. A contract clause can pin a multi-million-pound show to one performer. A 7-minute stunt can bankrupt a season. An Instagram sentence can outrun decades of press strategy. And beyond London's theatre district, a continent reminded the world that avatars of history aren't costumes to swap at will. So the curtain falls, not just on Evita, but on any fantasy that spectacle alone can silence uncomfortable questions. As lights fade on the abandoned balcony, we're left with the echo of a single refrain. Innovation thrills, but respect endures. Now the spotlight turns to you. Was this collapse inevitable hubris, or a brave vision throttled by outrage culture? Would you queue beneath that balcony, or demand your seat refund? Let me know below, because the conversation, unlike the show, is far from over.